Our first podcast for the year. I've got John Doig here. I'm the VSDCUA Recruitment and Relationship Manager. And we kick off the year with Benny Goodman. So Brian Goodman has been umpiring for over 33 years. Currently, I think he's the record holder for number of games of anybody in the association. He's got 506 overall games and at 399 games for first 11 cricket for Pascoe Vale Central and then down at Hastings Park. Benny injured himself playing footy, and from that point, I think he did an Achilles.
Did my Achilles tendon.
Ruptured Achilles, which that ended his playing days, and decided to take up cricket. Benny, quickly, why do you love cricket?
It's just a wonderful team sport, and just enjoyed playing it. I was a wicket-keeper batsman, and I just loved it. I was devastated when I had to give away playing, but I chose to umpire instead, and I'm really pleased I did because it's a wonderful game that we have, and of course umpiring, I can tell you, is you got the best seat in the house, so it's great and I love it.
Before we get on to a bit about umpiring, I'm just going to ask you a couple of quick questions. Were you a Liffey wicket-keeper?
Yes.
Yes, I can see that. And did you give the umpires a hard time?
Not so much. It was when I got a couple of really rough decisions. I'll quickly tell you a story. I was backing up in a game. It was actually a semi-final, and my partner hit a straight drive just on the other side of the stumps. The umpire moved, hit the umpire's shoe as I'd left the crease, and the ball bounced back. The bowler picked the ball up and ran me out. And so I appealed the appeal, and the umpire said, "Bad luck, mate. Umpires don't count. You're stiff. You're out." So
anyway, today we're going to talk about the upcoming season. 2020 has been a very interesting year for everybody, including cricket. In 2020-21 season, Benny, how does a normal day of cricket of umpiring look in the coming season, especially, say, before Christmas?
Well, let me say that normal cricket's certainly not going to return in the foreseeable future due to COVID. So it's going to be a very unusual and different season once we do get underway. I'll answer your question by starting carpooling. I want to talk about carpooling before we arrive. It's been recommended by the government and, of course, the DHHS about not to carpool, if at all possible, unless you live in the same household. A friend or family member within the household, then do it. But it's something that we say don't recommend. On arrival at games, the home club is to have a sign-on, sign-off sheet. Umpires, like players, everyone will have to sign in when you arrive, and when you're leaving the game after the day's events, you'll have to sign out. And the club will, as I said, the home club will be responsible for a sign-in, sign-out sheet at the game. And so that's going to be the process, once we sort of get underway, John.
Good. What do you reckon if somebody's not feeling well on the day?
Well, all you would do if they're on the field at that time is you need to talk to the captain. All communication should go through the captain. Player X is not feeling well, and the captain will remove that player from the field and tell him to go and get either some treatment, go to a doctor, whatever they need to do. I wouldn't get too caught up. From an umpire perspective, if someone's not feeling well, to try and tell them what they should or shouldn't do. But the main thing is to get them off the field.
You have a bit of a chat, and then you go, right, it's time to put the stumps out. What do we have to do to make sure they're COVID safe right now?
Well, the first thing I would do is ask the captain if they've been sanitised. If they haven't, I'm recommending all umpires take their own little bottle of sanitisation to the game, and then wipe the stumps down to make sure they're sanitised. It's really important that they do. Then, by all means, they can take those stumps out onto the ground and set them up. I just want to add there, the end that the umpire is at and sets up those stumps, that's the only person throughout the match to touch those set of stumps. No one else, not the other umpire at the other end or any player on the ground. No one is to touch the stumps except the umpire who took them out. And it's his responsibility to make sure those stumps are sanitised. At the end of the game, when you take the stumps off and into the rooms, you would give them another little spray of sanitisation in the rooms.
So coin toss, that's going to be a bit different this year, I understand.
Yeah, it is. Umpires to make sure that they've got a coin on them when they go to the game. whether it's in their pocket or in their wallet. And once the two umpires get to the game, there'll be a decision who's going to toss the coin, you, me, whatever. Once that decision's made, that umpire will go out, or you go out together, and that umpire with the coin will toss the coin for the captains. And once there's a decision, that umpire will pick up the coin. So no one else is to touch the coin except the umpire that brought the coin to the match.
Very good. So we all take a double-headed coin for the match. Is that it?
Double-headed, double-tailed, whatever you like.
Okay. So, and the other one is team sheets a bit different this year. So handing over the team sheets no longer. Is that right? We're actually going to rely on technology.
Well, it's something that we need to get confirmation from the VSDCUA, but what we're really saying is that physical team sheets, should not be used to minimise possible contact points with individuals. The team sheet should be uploaded into my cricket system. The umpires and opposing captains decide the digital copy of that team sheet. So, but I don't think the VSDCUA are too concerned about the team sheet from an umpire viewpoint. We will need names of every one that's played on the team sheet because of voting. So that needs to be worked out. So that's still a work in progress, but we'll work with the VSDCUA to finalise what we believe is the correct procedure.
So even maybe at the end of the match, you could take a photograph of the scorebook. So that's possible, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You can do that. And the scorebook is a good idea because it'll show their bowling, their batting. Again, if you're going to touch the book, which I would not recommend, you'd need to sort of get hold of the book, ask the scorer to put it there where you can photograph it.
Where are we currently at with wearing a mask?
Umpires will be required to wear a mask unless they get a doctor's certificate exempting them from wearing that mask. So if umpires feel that they can't for whatever reason, they can go to their doctor. So Cricket Victoria are working with the government to try and get that sort of exemption to not wear a mask, because players, fielders, batters and bowlers will not be required to bowl a mask because it's under duress while they're running and a bit awkward to breathe. Obviously with umpires we don't move around so much, so it'll be appropriate that we wear a mask at this stage.
So what happens with the ball? Because in the past players shine the ball and put sweat on it or rub it through their hair. So what are the issues around the ball we're going to face this year?
Okay, well let me talk about the two most obvious. One is sweat and saliva on the ball. But before we go down that path, right from the start, normally the balls would be in the umpire's room. We'd pick a ball and we'd go out and we'd make sure the ball's available for the bowling team. What's going to happen now is the umpires will not touch the ball at all throughout the match, right? The ball, both new balls, as per the rules, will be provided by the home club, and umpires are instructed not to handle the ball at any time during the match. So at the start, the bowling team will show the ball to the umpires, and the umpires will acknowledge, yes, it's a regulation ball, and the one that the VSDCUA approve of, and then you go out and start the game. When a wicket falls, the ball will be placed behind the stumps at the bowler's end, and the umpires just supervise that. And whether the bowler, a player in the field throws it to the keeper and he puts it down or whatever, it doesn't matter, as long as the umpires know there. But the umpires are not to handle the ball. So players throw the ball to the umpire, don't catch it, let it go. Now, as we know, sometimes the seam comes a bit loose on the ball. Umpires just get a player, maybe the captain would be good, to hold the ball while the umpire uses their scissors or a little knife to cut off the loose piece of the seam. And again, I reiterate, umpires not to handle the ball. Now, before the match starts, the ball will be sanitised, as with all the players, and the umpires to sanitise their hands. Then after 10 overs, everyone will come together and the umpires will instruct the club to bring out sanitiser, sanitise the ball, everyone's hands, and away good. Now, the home club should provide that sanitiser and should be kept close to the boundary line. Hopefully the COVID officers there, if they've got one, that would be handy. So they'll be responsible for providing sanitiser and wipes throughout the match. I'm recommending also that each team have a supply of spare ball. So make sure that the umpires talk to the captains prior to the start of play and make sure there's a spare ball or two ready to go. And if it's called upon for the match ball gets lost or damaged, then that ball must also be sanitised. So we want that to happen on match day. Look, this comes down to communication is the key, as we know, on match day, and we want these protocols to work pretty well. So it's really important that we follow these protocols.
That sounds like a great plan. I've got another question for you, Benny. What happens if you happen to see as an umpire player putting the sweat on the ball like they've done for the last 200 years of the game?
Yep, again, sweat or saliva on the ball is totally banned. And if both umpires feel or either umpire sees that the placing of sweat on the ball is intentional, remember, where people are creatures of habit, and bowlers, they'll forget it. They've been bowling 4 or 5, 6 overs, they're walking back to their mark, they might just lick their fingers or something like that. Now, the umpires are not going to see everything. If you don't see it, like everything, you just got to carry on. Now, I want to reiterate pretty strongly here, there's bound to be some supporters, barrackers over the fence who might see something along those lines, and they might start yelling out and carrying on to try and get your attention to take some action. It's really important that everyone over the fence is totally ignored. It's no different to a normal game. We don't listen to supporters or spectators over the fence or what's going on. But if you've got a feeling that something's happening behind your back, you're not sure, just a quiet word to the bowler and say, mate, we're not sure what's going on, but I hope you're not putting anything on the ball. Just remind them of that. Now, if you believe it is intentional and you see it, there should be a first and final warning. That's really important. And that warning must be spoken to the captain. So the captain will be given that first and final warning. If there's a second occurrence that happens then, let's go back. After that first and final warning, then the ball must be sanitised again. That's really important for umpires to take that on board. If there's a second occurrence, and again, umpires will stop play, they'll award a 5-run penalty to the batting side, and again, the ball must be sanitised. Now, for all other subsequent occurrences, there might be a third one. Again, you'll stop the play, a 5-run penalty to the batting side will apply, but the ball must be sanitised. Now, under health and safety, if you believe that's been compromised and they're down to 3rd, 4th and 5th and getting run penalties and it doesn't seem to be getting better and you feel that the health and safety is being compromised, the umpires have the authority to call the game off. Now, that would be an absolute last resort. We don't want to see that occur, and I'm sure at our level of play, captains will take responsibility for it and everything should be fine. But that's the process to follow under sweat and saliva on the ball.
I'm assuming you'd first things you'd discuss it with your partner, and then ultimately, the captain would. I think everybody knows what's going on with COVID, so it's really not a smart thing to do to put any sweat on the ball. So, considering the circumstances, probably the best thing that we can do is just make sure that they don't do it.
Well, as best we can, But remember, we're not the COVID police. We're there just to handle the protocols as directed by the state government and Cricket Victoria, and that's what we're adhering to. The players have got their own protocols. They'll be sent plenty of information. They will know that this is not to apply with sweat and saliva. So, but I'm more interested in the fact that players will forget after a little time of play, and we've just got to keep reminding them about those sort of things. So it's incumbent upon us communicating. That's the main thing.
All right, Benny, that's a very good answer.
Normally at the end of an over, the players just throw the ball to the next bowler. What's going to happen now? So is it at the end of an over, and probably some of the other things of what happens at the fall of a wicket, where the umpire normally takes the ball, and then what happens if the ball's a bit damaged? Because if the umpire's not allowed to touch it, what do they do?
Okay, well, there's three distinct questions there. Let's say when a wicket falls, whichever player has got the ball at that time will place the ball behind the stumps at the bowler's end, or if it's over, at the other end. So that'll be required by the captain or the bowler, or you might throw the ball to the wicket keeper and say, drop it down there. That's the first thing. So it's really important that every umpire understands they're not to touch the ball. Now, if the ball gets damaged, let's say the seams come up, normally we grab it, we get a pair of scissors, we snip a bit of stitching has come off. The idea now will be that the captain of that bowling side will hold the ball, and the umpire can use their scissors or knife to cut that little daggy bit off the ball. But they're not to touch the ball themselves. Once that happens, sanitise the ball again, and then it's ready to go for play.
So with sanitising the ball, is it just a quick wipe with a sanitising thing, or what do you?
There's a microfiber sort of wipe that you can use. It's got to contain, they say, 70% alcohol in it, so make sure you don't drink it. There's some conjecture. Cricket Victoria are recommending that every 6 overs or 20 minutes, play be stopped, or if a wicket falls at around that time, to clean it with that anti-microbial wipe. Now, I'm kind of thinking maybe 10 overs might be better. Then you've only got 4 stops. We're looking at 40 overs a game, trying to minimise that. So that's up for discussion at the moment. But whether it's 6 overs or 8 overs or 10 overs doesn't really matter. Once it's been decided upon, it's really important that after that, those overs have been completed, that the ball needs to be wiped again with that wipe, and this process to be completed at the fall of each wicket as well during the scheduled breaks in play. This is to be completed by the bowling team captain under the supervision of the umpire. And we need to understand this is going to be the new norm for some time. It's just the way it is. So communication is going to be the key to all of this. Right at the start, when you meet the captains, making sure everyone's on the same page about what they have to do. The players' protocols and the captain, let them worry about that. Let the umpires just do what we need to do, and let the players know they'll get plenty of education on what they need to do as far as their protocols are concerned.
Now, drinks, we normally take drinks, if we're playing 40 overs, it'd be 20 overs. What's the protocols around drinks?
Well, first and foremost, for umpires are to take their own drink, bottle of whatever, to the game, and make sure it's handy near the boundary or near whatever to be able to, at drinks, walk over and get their own drink. No one else is to touch that bottle, so it needs to be in a shady spot or in a cooler bag or whatever way you want to do it. And no umpire is to take a drink or food, for that matter, from anywhere else. There'll be no official tea break. There'll be no official tea. There'll be a tea break, but you won't be having any food in the rooms or drinks like that like we have in the past. So bring your own water bottle, drink bottle, whatever it is, and away you go.
Okay, so game started, begins to rain. What happens? Who does what?
The captains, if they feel it's heavy enough to go off, they'll call the opposition or who's ever over the boundary where the covers will be. Both teams to still put the covers on as per normal, but we obviously need to reinforce and enforce social distancing. Normally when the covers are usually a couple of metres apart anyway. So you just need to make sure that they are. Covers go down. You put sanitizer on your hands, every player, and umpires are not to get involved helping or assisting with the covers, but they need to monitor it and make sure it's okay. When the rain stops, umpires want to go back and play. Everyone comes back on, lifts the covers, takes them off. Again, need to put sanitisation on their hands.
The last one is probably the match payments. So what is the plans for this season with match payments? Are the clubs still going to put money in an envelope? Is that how it works?
No, I think I'm going to give them my bank details. I'll get everyone's. No, I'm only kidding. Now, what's going to happen at the moment? At the moment, it's been recommended, and the VSDCUA will have to make a final decision on this, but they're recommending that the cash be put in an envelope and then given to the umpires. Well, obviously, I would want the money to be sanitised as well, the envelope to be sanitised as well, and then the umpires, when they get it, as soon as they get it and touch it, whatever they do, put the money in their wallet, their pocket, whatever, I would sanitise my hands again and make sure that everything's okay.
And the match payment's exactly the same this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same as last year. It hasn't changed at this stage.
So that's $150 for 2 umpires, one either end. And if an umpire on its own and is a qualified umpire, it's $170. Is that correct for one end?
I think that's the figure as well. But But that'll all be confirmed once we know exactly what's going on. But look, as this is the first podcast, we wanted to give umpires in particular a bit of an update on where it's at the moment. But we need to understand and realise there's still 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it might be before we start playing, and things can change. So we're bound by the Victorian government, state government, and the health department, and also Cricket Victoria, and any other instructions that comes from the VSDCUA. So we need to understand that.
Beautifully said, Benny. One last thing before we sign off. Obviously, in written rules, there's always the rules that come up that you actually go, oh, that's not in the rules. So what's your advice on that one?
Well, look, with COVID, we've tried to cover everything, and I'm making up a document. Once we get that proofread and we think we're satisfied with it, if something comes up on the day, you go, oh, that's not covered anywhere. Well, again, we'll just have to make both umpires get together and make what I would call a common sense decision in the safety of all participants. That's really got to be the key to it all. So, and then obviously I would like to be notified if there's something that's come up that wasn't the norm, and then we'll add that to the document. And so it'll be a fluid document as we keep going. Every umpire knows I'm big on communication. I think that's a real key to umpires being successful on match day. So communication on match day is going to be paramount for umpires to communicate with the captains very, very much and very often. So about making sure that, we all adhere to the COVID situation. Now we know some captains and some players are going to get frustrated, cleaning the ball all the time, dropping the ball on the ground, like all them sort of things. But the clubs are going to be told, they'll have their own protocols they need to adhere to. It's really important we keep a good mindset, don't get ruffled, stay calm, stay composed, and deal with it in a professional manner. As we said right at the start, this is a season like no other, and we'll learn along the way. So we haven't got experience to know what happened 20 years ago. It didn't happen, so we don't know. So we need to gain that experience from everybody, learn from it, and keep supporting one another. The last thing I want to say, I don't want umpires getting jittery about, oh, I saw that bloke lick his finger. Use common sense. There's going to be mistakes. Players we're habitual people. That's what we do. We form habits. So if somebody's done that, just go over, talk to them quietly. We've got to try and educate everybody that there are certain things they can do and certain things they can't do. So a positive mindset and communication is going to be the key.
I think out of the whole thing, I think we've all learned to be grateful for what we used to have. And in the lockdown period, we've actually had a really good chance to, spend more time with our families and working at home now is something that a lot of us have had to do. But, we love the sport, we love the game, and just getting out there in the middle of the oval and smelling the fresh air and all of that is going to be part of it. And we have to put our best foot forward, don't we? It's almost
Absolutely.
Like it's up to us to make it happen and be happy and be satisfied. So
absolutely. So the last thing I just want to mention, John, these podcasts will be hopefully put up on the website, on Facebook, which will do those sort of things. And we're hopeful to conduct a number of podcasts throughout the season once we get going. And, we'll interview some umpires, maybe some players, maybe some executive members, still to be worked out. But this is the first of the podcast, which I think will be welcoming to be able to pass on and be transparent about what we're doing.
Oh, well done, Benny. It was a great session, and we've had, we all love our game, so we'll look forward to having lots of people here. We'll probably go on Facebook, and thanks to the team. I know Shiv was probably going to put it up for us, so thanks, Shiv. And then good luck, and we hopefully will get away. Currently, I think the season is planned to start with a practice match on the 14th of November, and the competition real starts on the 21st, but we can't guarantee that. We hope it will be. So fingers crossed. Good luck, and we'll catch you soon. Thanks, Benny.
Thanks, John. All the best.